Hello, everyone. Like the description says, assuming that anybody watches this. So this is just another video. I'm gonna see if I can change it up a little bit because I have so many ideas, um, or several things to say. But I think I'm just repeating myself. I think the past few videos I made is basically the same thing almost. Even though the last video, which I thank Italian Stallion for reviewing it, for watching it. Uh, and that actually got me very excited. That somebody on the YouTube channel, which is very much watched, actually visited my video to watch, to review it. And shout out to him. Shout out to Inception. Shout out to many others that I hope their streams go well and to continue doing what they're doing. Nepenthes, another one that I just recently started watching, and he's very good. Also, the way he talks and everything, it's very enticing. But anyway, so this video, as the description says, well, apart from the title saying Inceptionxx, I'm not trying to promote anything under his name. I just want to see if I can get his attention. And again, shout out to you, and I hope that you do watch it in terms of like maybe thinking about things that maybe you hadn't thought of before. Hopefully, I can bring some kind of some difference to it. It's like the whole talk of FIFA and what should happen, what can be improved, and also I'm also going to be touching on players because I've always had this idea. Like I always had this idea of just suggesting certain players for certain positions or what to really focus on as opposed to other other aspects that are like okay, instead of just being looking to get certain players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, whatever else. So so first off, one thing that I think that they should do for FIFA in order to change it, to make it a better game, is to get rid of the power bar, more specifically for short passes. Long passes, you still need that power bar to be there because you need to see how much power you're putting in. That shouldn't change. But what should change is the short pass because, like, referencing winning 11-8 or just any game that I played in general before that, that the gameplay was so much smoother and it made a lot more sense. The pass button, you really didn't have a power bar unless you did manual passing, but that requires a lot more skill. You need to be a lot more comfortable with that. But apart from that, you still had that in the winning 11 game, and then of course in FIFA, it's been around for the longest time. Even though now that I'm thinking about it, FIFA 2006, I don't think it had a power bar for the short passing, but maybe somebody can correct me on that. But yeah, so in regards to that, you could just remove that. Let's say you want to make a pass, well, obviously like the short pass, you just press X, and the pass, the power should already be there. That was the great thing about the winning 11-8 game, and even winning 11-7 as well. Even though winning 11-8 took it a step further by improving it as opposed to changing it. That's what EA is doing to the game. They're changing it, thinking that it's an improvement, and it's not the case. So if you just eliminate that, at least for the short passes, and then from there, even the through passes, you could have the lobbed through passes or the through pass in general, and the short pass that shouldn't have a power bar whatsoever. The long passes should have it power, like when you take your shot, when you take a shot on goal. Obviously, that needs to have a power bar, with all that stuff. Hola, hola. Nada. Acá haciendo un video. Be right back. Haciendo un video. ¿Y vos?
Estoy terminando.
Ah, bueno. So, by doing that, you don't have to worry so much about how much power goes through because I've seen it countless times, even in some of the videos I've uploaded. And I should have some recordings now that I'm going to see if I can upload later on today. The passes seem to be very slow, especially if it's like poor gameplay, whether it be the connection problem, whether it be within the game itself, All these things influence the general feel of the game. So, that's something that has been a constant issue. FIFA 17 and 18, in terms of the players reacting the way that they have to, like, and I'm thinking more specifically, like when you hold the L1 button for the closest control you can possibly have. That was fine. But now in this game, even with Willian, even with Neymar, unless the connection is so good and also the gameplay happens to be, flowing as well, then you can turn a lot quicker and it feels better. But still, even if the game was at its best, FIFA 19 and even 18 is not to par to what I know we should have as a soccer game. Um, I was even trying to look for other games to play, like NBA 2K, like basketball. Um, and even that game, it's like, but there I can understand, like, the animations really take over for the most part, because there's so many different players that have different styles of dribbling. But again, even in the basketball games, they need to reduce the animations that you have. Jump shots, okay, that you can have different ways of shooting. That's fine. But the way that a player dribbles, it should be a lot more generic. It should be a lot more. Uh, it should be a lot more broader. Less animation, so you can move a lot quicker. You can make your decisions better, as opposed to having to adjust to the game. We shouldn't have to adjust to any game, in the sense that if there is a problem in terms of lag or sluggishness, reaction time, responsiveness, all these things, we shouldn't have to adjust to the game, especially if the game changes every single year. That's a fucking problem. So they need to change that, or at least reduce the amount of animations, keep the animations to celebrations. Look at how you can celebrate with in Pro Evolution Soccer games, and including winning 11-8, because that was basically Pro Evolution. It's just that those two games were going at the same time. But the animations they had, it was mostly for goal celebrations. And that's what they could really incorporate in the game. Make it a lot more simple. If you want, you can choose the celebrations for the players. These are options that should be there, like editing the hairstyles. Even if it's Ultimate Team, you should still be able to do that. Edit the cleats. Maybe you want your whole team to have white cleats. Maybe you want a specific player to have, I don't know, lime green cleats. It doesn't matter. You should be able to do that. Pro clubs, you should be able to edit your jersey a lot better. The change in font numbers, like, I would love to use the the font style of the letters and numbers from, like, the 1994 World Cup teams, for example, like Argentina. They look nice. I think it's called the box font. Um, the jersey, or like the way that the font is for the England jersey, especially in this last World Cup. That jersey is beautiful, and the way that the letters were completely different from any other team, because they were using box font as well, but it was a different kind, and it really didn't look good. Only for certain jerseys. But Germany was using it, Mexico, Argentina, uh, whom else? I can't think, but it doesn't matter. But England had a beautiful jersey. Well, they still do. But then, apart from that, yeah. So the short passes shouldn't have any power bar to it. And let's say you want to do a short pass, like a short pass, like just a regular pass, but all to the guy all the way on the other side. You're gonna switch the field. So all you have to do is just hold the X button. Hold the X button, and then of course the game should register. Okay, you want to pass it to the guy farther out, right? It's as simple as that. You could still have the power pass or the R1 X feature where you give like a hard ground pass to whomever. You should still be able to do that. And again, without a power bar. Another thing too, if EA keeps time finishing, which is already bullshit, it shouldn't be there. This is not NBA 2K, because there you can understand, okay, you need to time your shot. It's like in real life. But in soccer, all right, the finishing in FIFA 18 was good, even FIFA 17. I can't speak for the other games, okay? But every single FIFA game, all you had to do was tap the shoot button, whichever one it is that you put, a square or circle or whatever for Xbox. That should have been kept alone, or left alone rather. I don't know why I had to touch it, and a lot of other people don't either. Okay, the gameplay. I just recently saw a compilation made by Vize. Sorry if I mispronounce it again. Or Visa. He he did a compilation of like rage quits and all kinds of rage compilations. And Castro, who constantly criticized Kurt, from what I've looked up, on the internet and also videos that I've seen, uh, even he started complaining about the gameplay at one point, which is understandable. The clip that I saw, I think the ball went in and it went through his defender. That even did a slide tackle. Then it went past his goalkeeper in a stupid fashion, and then the guy scored. That was not right, so it's understandable you're going to get upset. But still, for a guy who goes into these tournaments and you don't really hear anybody say anything, or to say, oh well, forget about Kurt and stuff like that. Yeah, then seconds later, during the chat, he got scored on in a ridiculous way. So I have respect for you and everything. I have no beef with you, but it doesn't make sense that you criticize somebody else or you don't take importance to somebody else when they're talking about a game that you're also playing. And that. But again, I have no disrespect. I'm just making a criticism in that sense, and that's all. But apart from that, that's one of the main things in terms of short passes. Now, going back to time finishing, if EA is gonna keep that in the game, which I have a feeling they are, at the same time, I don't, because it's already been a huge problem for the majority of people, I think. If you're gonna keep it for certain situations, like if it's a volley, or if you're gonna do a bicycle kick, right? Or that's another thing too. If you want to do a bicycle kick, it could simply be a matter of holding the L2 button and then the shoe button, right? That could bring about the animation of a bicycle kick. Now, whether you're going to hit the bicycle kick or not, that's another story. And that's where time finishing can be, because in real life, you do have to time that shot. You have to time it perfectly when the ball gets to your foot. Or if you time it wrong, okay, it's scuffed a little bit or whatever, depending on how early or late or on time, right? That's something that you can keep if you're gonna keep time finishing. I would take it out all together. So volleys or bicycle kicks, any type of volley shot. Now, if it's a regular shot, or if you get a ground pass and you want to kick it one time, that shouldn't require any time finishing whatsoever. Okay, whatsoever. The only thing that should influence the shot is the power, the shot accuracy. These are stats that they can incorporate. In the Winning 11 game and in Pro Evolution Soccer as well, they have stats that make more sense, like dribble accuracy and dribbling speed, ball control, which is just ball control. Then you have the short pass accuracy and a short pass speed. Okay? So in the Winning 11 games and Pro Evolution Soccer, right? So those are stats that should be in the game. Forget about composure. Okay, I think the equivalent compared to FIFA's composure stat, comparing it to PES, is consistency. But even that consistency, I remember either had it was on a scale of 1 to 3 or 1 to 5. So of course, the higher it is, the more consistent. But the only thing that affects, apparently, I've never seen it, which it shouldn't affect the player that much, is how often they appear in the plays. So, for example, I think Maradona had a 3 out of 5, if I'm not mistaken. Other great players sometimes had a 2 out of 5, which made no sense. But regardless, you didn't feel it. You didn't feel that particular stat affecting your game, as opposed to FIFA. The FIFA games, it's constantly influencing everything. It doesn't make sense. The shielding in FIFA 17, the shielding was good. Maybe it was a little overpowered, but I think it was enough. It was just enough. And again, shooting wasn't affected regardless. Everybody was able to shoot accordingly. You could score the goals without having a problem. If you're in the penalty box and it's 1-on-1, at least 9.5 times out of 10, It should be a goal. That's it. No doubt. But in FIFA 19, especially with this time finishing bullshit, now they completely changed the game, and it only benefits certain people. If you're really good at the game already, now the other people like myself, I know I can be very good, but with the gameplay constantly changing, night to night, day to day, time to time, all these things, yeah, it's like you can't get used to the game in the way that you should. To expect what should be expected. If the finishing of the game was good, then at least you can realize, okay, maybe I have a bad connection, maybe it's a little sluggish because there's lag or whatever, or maybe it's within the game. But at least the shooting could be, you know, it could be it's reliable, and that's what you need. You need reliable passing. So don't put a power bar for the passes. That's stupid. Especially when I see that you're passing the ball is coming to your player slowly and slower and slower, and your player is backing away from the ball, waiting for the ball to get to him. You shouldn't have to push. You shouldn't have to pass the ball, and then with the next player that's going, with the player that's going to receive it, push your analog stick towards the ball so he can move toward. No, no, those things should be automatic already. They should be in the game so that you don't have to miss a beat. Okay. Now, just to touch a little bit on the players, what I mean by using certain players in certain positions. For example, I've seen a lot of players use wingers, like let's say Nedved. I have his 86 rated. A lot of people don't want to use him apparently, or at least the pro players. But that card is amazing. Feels great. I consider him like a Messi on my team. Has a lot of stamina, 89, which is something I'm going to touch on quick. Um, his finishing is at 81. For any soccer game, that should be enough. Okay, that's very good. He has composure. I think he has like an 84 for composure. And then the rest of his stats are good. He has pace, he's agile, balance, and all that stuff. Now, what I do is I make him a left forward, and I've been utilizing him more as a winger, as it stated. Even though I think he was more of a midfielder, but he did play on the wings here and there. Uh, but sometimes I use him as just a striker because I have Richarlison's of the weak card. So anytime he gets an inform, it would boost up automatically. His stats are extremely good, and you can even use him as a striker. He can jump, he can head the ball, he has stamina, strength, and aggression. And he has pace, his finishing is very good. I think it's like at 85 or something. Composure, dribbling is perfect. And then he can even pass the ball. Okay, he can cross the ball, he can do all those things. So I've been utilizing him as a striker, considering that I have the flashback Martinez card for the Liga Nosh, and I say Nosh because of you, Inception. Thank you. Um, let me see. Before I used to say Liga Nos, and it sounds weird, but I use him, and then I also have Marega, and Marega is an awesome card. I have his 86 rated, and but again, so more specifically, the players that I would suggest using in case like you start a new FIFA or you're just coming, arriving to FIFA games and stuff. I always focus on stamina. So, for example, Jordan Henderson, Ndidi, Kondogbia, he has an 85. And then on top of that, he has aggression and a 91 for strength. Remarkable stats. I would actually switch those. If he had a 91 for stamina and an 85 for strength, that's still good because he's a tall motherfucker and he has aggression and all that shit, right? Now, um, so those kinds of players are very good to have because towards the end of the game, how many times have you, if this applies to you, have had a player like, let's say Messi, if you keep him throughout the whole entire match, right? His stats are good. His finishing is not going to get tired. His dribbling is not going to get tired, but he himself physically will get tired. So his stamina is at a 72 if you get his 94 rated. Obviously, the team of the season and team of the year card is the best because now he has a 99 stamina, and that's perfect. Now you don't have to worry about anything else. But it's the fact that he has that 72, and it seems like every year his stamina goes lower, even though he's lasting throughout the whole match. Doesn't make sense. In Pro Evolution Soccer, I think they gave him like for this year's game, I think they gave him like a 75 for stamina. That's more reasonable but he should have at least a 78, at least. If not, I would say 81. But uh, but yeah, so utilizing like a winger like Heung-min Son or Richarlison or even Rashford, but he has a striker card. But like Son, Richarlison, Nedved, even Best or Ryan Giggs, if need be, right? But because of their height, it gives me an advantage, and also they feel great on the ball. And since soccer's played mostly on the ground for the majority of the 90 minutes, very rarely it's going to be all of, if not at all in the air. Having Son as a striker, even though his card is a left winger, because I use mostly the normal goal cards. I don't, I'd rather use the cheaper players because I always root for an underdog team. So like Jordan Henderson and Didi, uh, Beatsy, Bruno Fernandes, uh, all those kinds of players that have a lot of stamina. Instead of getting Rui Costa, might as well just get Bruno Fernandes or even Beatsy, because um, Rui Costa, his highest rated card, which I had last year, and I think no, yeah, last year in FIFA 18, had a 75. If anything, I feel like he should have had like a 78 or 80. That would have sufficed. But considering he has that stat as a finishing, and he has an 82 for composure, Bruno Fernandes already beats him by a mile. Yeah, he's not as tall. He doesn't have the strength. Also the pace as Rui Costa has. So there is a difference, and plus an icon compared to a regular card. He can link up with anything as opposed to Bruno, only Portuguese or La Liga, La Liga Nos. So, but more specifically, what I like to use, and this is also another suggestion, is using the CDM, the defensive midfielders, as center backs. Because one, if you position them in that spot, they have a yellow for the chemistry on their position, right? And then you could just link them up with whoever. So in DD, I would link up with Schmeichel, especially because they're on the same team. And also you can link them up with Fabian Delph. I like to use him. Now, what's the benefit of that? One, if you link him up well enough, he's not going to lose any stats. And especially if you have his inform, because I used his 80 rated, and I always said all he needs is one good inform, and he'll be set. He'll be one of the best center back players to use in that position, um, compared to a lot of players, right? Because he has stamina. Now his heading went from a 74, I think, to a 79. Then his defensive stats, even on his 80 rated card, is amazing, right? Then he has a lot of stamina. His pace, compared to the typical center backs usually have like a 60 average for pace. He has a 73. And then if you get his inform, he has a 76, 75 or 76. Look at Sergio Ramos. Even his what is it, 91 rated card? He has a good amount of pace. That's his pace on that card as a center back is the equivalent of, I don't know, a striker needing like an 88 pace or 91. And if he's agile, even better. Because Lukaku has a good amount of pace for the kind of guy he is. He's a big guy and a lot of weight to run with. But because of that pace he has, it helps a little bit, and it seems like he catches up better to the ball at times. Um, but yeah, so or Condovia or even Vidal, because I have his flashback card and I've been using him as a center back. Now, yeah, I'm missing out on he has good finishing with an 80. His long shots, he can dribble. Well, he's like Gullit. He's like Ruud Gullit. But what's it called? The thing with that is, uh, he has good jumping abilities. His heading, his defense. He has pace, so he can catch up to the strikers a lot quicker. And plus, he's aggressive. He has strength. He's 5'11". That's not a short dude. So those are the kinds of players that I've been using in those positions. So I would like Inception. Hello, if you happen to watch, I would like Inception to I guess clarifying some things like in terms of his thoughts towards what I'm saying through this video, um, and just to see if that's something that you would consider, or if you would like to try out. Maybe you can do it on your streams and see if it works for you. Like I said, I've been using Kongdobia. You compare him to any typical center back, like Marcelo, who plays in Lyon, in France. His defense is good. His composure is not great, but I don't worry about that too much. I usually just try to focus on, okay, is his defense good? His stamina, he has an 89. So if the chemistry styles really true influence the game, I mean the player itself within the game, if you give him a shadow card, his pace, which is like a 55, right? To me it's not good, even though the center backs seem to be catching up to players a lot faster this year, which they are. Uh, Marcelo's still slow, and plus he's not that agile. Center backs typically aren't. So that's why you compare the stats, because what's the real difference between them? Center defensive midfielders have better ball control. They tend to have better passing. They tend to have better composure. They tend to be pacier. Now, yeah, center back tends to have a lot more better defensive stats than a defensive midfielder. But still, they make up for it in the defense that they do have, like 80, 81, ratings for the attributes. And then stamina wise, they have a lot more stamina. Varane, he has a good amount of stamina for center back. I think he has like a 73. But then, and that pace certainly makes up for any lack of stamina thereof. But it's the fact that you can use a center defensive midfielder that has more pace, tends to be like stronger and more aggressive and a lot more stamina, so he can last longer in the game. And then yeah, like the defensive stats depending. Like Kongdobia has good defensive stats. His heading is not as good, maybe, but again, soccer's played mostly on the ground, so for the majority of the time, he's gonna win that. And in my case, like Matthew, who plays in oh, what team was that? Well, he also plays in the Portuguese league. He feels great, and he's not the fastest player, but I would pick him over Varane, right? So he has a good amount of pace. His defense is great. He has strength. He has an 89 for strength and a good amount of aggression. And then he has a 78 for stamina. The equivalent of that compared to a striker needs to have, and a midfielder especially, needs to have at least an 85 for you not to worry about anything. So if a center back has a 78 for stamina, that's already good. That is good enough. Because how often are they going to be running? You know? So again, so these are my suggestions, and I can't think of a lot of players because like I'm doing the video at the same time, so it's like I would really have to write it down or look into the players. But the ones that come off the bat, now Jordan Henderson, on the other hand, has a 92 for stamina, but I wouldn't put him as a center back, despite him having decent defensive stats. He's more as a midfielder. But players like Kongdobia, even Thomas Partey, I don't know how to pronounce it. He plays in Spain. His stamina is great, his defense is great, and his pace too, and even has a bit of agility, like a decent amount. Whereas like Felipe, who plays in the Portuguese league, um, he has I don't know, like a 60 something for or maybe a 50 something for agility. He's not that agile. He feels great in the air. He has a 90 for jumping and a good amount of heading ability in defense. So that's great, and a decent amount of pace. But Matteo can catch up to you a lot quicker. Kongdobia and Thomas Partey, the only thing that he lacks is heading ability. But his jumping would at least make it more difficult for that striker to control the ball or head the ball better. So again, I was trying to keep it short, but 30 minutes, I want to touch on a few things and I sort of went off on tangents. But yeah, so if anybody happens to watch this video, please, drop a like. That's the first time I'm saying that in any of my videos. Drop a like, subscribe if you're really interested in what I have to say, or if you have anything else to say in regards to the videos. And let me know what you think. And Inception, even run the foot market. I forgot his name, Nick, I think. Nepenthes, Visa, anybody who happens to watch this video, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you can analyze what I'm saying and see, what you have to say in regards to it. Oh shit! Sorry, my phone got stuck. Okay. Take care. Peace.